There is a conversation happening quietly among men right now, not loudly, not publicly, but in the spaces where men are honest with each other. A reckoning is taking place. And it goes something like this. Is this worth it? Not dramatically, more like the quiet, methodical way men approach most problems. They look at what they are putting in. They look at what they are getting back. They look at the trajectory, and they do the math. And increasingly, the math is not adding up. This video is about that math, about why modern marriage is failing men, and what women need to hear to stop that from becoming permanent. I want to be clear about the framing. This is not about women having no value. It is not about men being victims. It is about a very specific imbalance that has developed in modern marriage, one that is hurting both sides, even if it is currently more visible on one. And it is a conversation women, in particular, need to be willing to hear, because we cannot fix something we refuse to look at honestly. In 1960, nearly 3 out of 4 American adults were married. The official census figure stood at 72%. Today, it is just about half, 49% as of the latest count. That is not a blip or a minor cultural swing. It is a generational drop, sustained over 60 years, and it tells a blunt story. Marriage is no longer the default for adults in America. The numbers do not lie, and they do not care about nostalgia or wishful thinking. They simply record the fact that the institution has lost ground, year after year, decade after decade. Researchers who track these trends see the pattern clearly. The decline is visible across every demographic, but it is especially sharp among men under 40. The share of never-married men has more than doubled since the 1980s. Fewer men are walking down the aisle, and those who do are doing it later, if at all. The old social script was, graduate, get a job, marry, start a family. That script now describes a shrinking minority. This is not just about personal preference or cultural fashion. The data reflect a deep recalculation. The costs, risks, and expectations of marriage have changed, but the rewards have not always kept pace. The math is different now, and men are responding in the way men often do, quietly, privately, and with their feet. The numbers are the signal. Behind them is a conversation that is harder to track, but just as real. Men are asking themselves and each other, is this worth it? A leading demographer put it like this: we are witnessing a fundamental shift in how men approach partnership. It is not a rejection of connection, but a response to the terms being offered. The numbers are not a fluke. They are the proof that the old bargain is being reconsidered, and that reconsideration is not happening in public debates or viral clips, but in the silent calculations of millions of men looking at the facts and quietly changing course. In the quiet corners of the internet, a different conversation unfolds. Away from public timelines and polished dating profiles, men gather in anonymous forums, Discord servers, and private group chats to compare notes. Here, the talk is not angry or bombastic. It is measured, sometimes weary, and almost always practical. The question is the same, repeated post after post. Is this worth it? Threads with titles like, why I'm not getting married, and the cost of divorce fill up with stories and calculations. Men trade advice about prenuptial agreements, share screenshots of legal bills, and dissect stories of friends or fathers who lost homes, access to children, or years of savings. The tone is rarely bitter, but often resigned. One man writes, "I watched my dad pay alimony for a decade. He told me, 'Don't sign a contract you can't walk away from.'" Others talk about emotional exhaustion, feeling like they are expected to provide, protect, and perform, but rarely to be appreciated, desired, or even truly seen. The phrase "treated like it is 1955" and "live like it is 2025" comes up again and again. They describe a gap between what is expected and what is returned. The sense that commitment is demanded, but reciprocity, gratitude, or even basic respect can feel optional. There is little posturing, just a quiet tallying of risk and reward. For some, the decision to opt out is not a declaration of war on women or marriage. It is an act of self-preservation, made in silence. As one man put it, "I want what my grandfather had, a partner, not a judge. If that is off the table, I'll pass." These conversations do not make headlines, but they are shaping the future of relationships, one calculation at a time. The contradiction sits at the heart of the modern marriage debate. On one side, there is a growing sense among men that the ledger is unbalanced. Provision is expected, but reciprocity is negotiable. Commitment is demanded, but appreciation is rare. Men describe a climate where they are judged against the standards of their grandfathers: provider, protector, pillar. Yet they find themselves living in a world where those efforts can go unreturned or even unnoticed. The phrase that echoes in private conversations is simple. They feel treated like it is 1955, yet expected to live like it is 2025. Yet for all the frustration, the value of a strong marriage remains undeniable. The data are clear. Pew Research finds that 78% of young adults now see cohabitation as fully acceptable, even without plans to marry. But the children who grow up in stable married homes are not interchangeable with those who do not. Long-term studies, including Waite and Gallagher's work, show that children who spend nearly all their childhood in a married household earn 8 to 10% more as adults than those raised in single-parent homes, even after accounting for background factors. The benefits are not just economic. They extend to education, emotional health, and the stability that comes from watching two adults honor their promises. What is at stake is not a nostalgic ideal, but a living reality. There are still couples who prove the old bargain can work. In these marriages, both partners show up day after day, year after year. They share burdens, return respect, and invest in each other's well-being. Their homes are marked by warmth, loyalty, and a peace that is hard to find elsewhere. They are the proof that reciprocity is possible, and that a good marriage is still worth striving for if both people are willing to build it. The question is not whether marriage can be good, but whether the terms on offer today reflect that promise. That is the real tension men are weighing, and it is not just their future on the line. The ledger is not complicated, but it is relentless. In survey after survey, men list the same core liabilities: financial instability, legal risk, emotional burnout, and the sense of being needed for provision, but not for partnership. The 2024 General Social Survey found that over half of men aged 25 to 34 who are delaying or declining marriage named financial instability as their top reason. Urban, college-educated men, especially those with rising careers, are now the most likely to postpone marriage into their mid-30s or beyond. For them, the equation is blunt. Years of work and savings can vanish in a single court order. One man at a recent panel put it plainly. He said he could lose his house, his retirement, and his kids just because someone else changed their mind. This is not paranoia. Legal bills in contested divorces routinely run into the tens of thousands. Alimony and child support can stretch for decades. The cost is not just money, but time, access to children, and personal peace. Men talk about these risks not as abstract fears, but as line items, losses they have watched fathers, brothers, or friends absorb. The calculation is not only about what marriage offers, but what it demands and what it can take away. In this environment, autonomy becomes a rational choice. The freedom to build one's life, protect assets, and avoid emotional exhaustion is not a rejection of love or family, but a response to a bargain that feels one-sided. Yet the fact that so many men are choosing this path is a warning. If marriage is to survive as a meaningful institution, the terms must change. The ledger must balance. Reciprocity, respect, and appreciation cannot be optional. Otherwise, the quiet exodus will continue, not out of anger, but out of sober self-preservation. Restoring the value of marriage is not a mystery. It is a matter of practice. The strongest evidence from relationship science points in one direction: mutual engagement. When both partners are present, emotionally and practically, day after day, the entire household thrives. A meta-analysis of couples-based interventions found that when both people commit to showing up, listening, and problem-solving together, well-being rises by nearly half a standard deviation. That is not a small effect. It is the difference between a household marked by tension and one marked by peace. For women, the challenge is plain. Reciprocity and appreciation cannot be optional. If you want a partner who invests, you must invest too. Gratitude, respect, and shared burdens are not luxuries. They are the foundation. The old script that says a man's duty is to provide while affection, warmth, or accountability are negotiable will not hold. If you want a man who shows up, you must show up as well. No one is entitled to partnership on their terms alone. For men, the task is different, but no less urgent. Clarity is your friend. Do not settle for a silent tally of grievances or a slow drift into resentment. Speak plainly about what you need and what you will not accept. Sovereignty means drawing boundaries, not as a threat, but as a promise to yourself. Marriage is not a place to hide from loneliness or to perform old roles by rote. It is a living agreement renewed by honest conversation and ongoing care. A good marriage is not out of reach, but it will only survive if both people are willing to build. It together with eyes open and with no illusions about. What happens if either side checks out? The path to reciprocity is not easy, but it is. Today the question is this worth it? It echoes in millions of quiet calculations. When half of men under 30 remain single, the message is unmistakable. Reciprocity and respect are not optional. If both sides refuse honest investment, marriage's promise withers. The future depends on who dares to rebuild trust. Share your thoughts below.